Hello everybody, welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. I stopped to have a conversation before I hit record and now I'm getting all the different bits of this song and track that I've never heard before and it's lovely. But we're going to press on 1127, our solve count. There is currently the 9th of August. There are a bunch of puzzle games that I'm very excited to play coming out in the next few weeks to months. And so the 8 PM UK time slot that I usually record or usually publish for the Artisan of Glimmith lately is going to be chopping and changing a little bit with other games, and especially as these puzzles get harder, I don't know how close to 100% we're going to actually manage to make it. Loopy, Bricky, Spiral Island Garden. It's really not much left, is there, though? 1 rose, 2 match, Bricky and Loopy, 2 difference, 2 watchtower, 2 compass, Spiral Island secluded garden. I guess we're going to look at some of the Spiral Island then. We need 9 more to go gold over here. A lot of these I have looked at previously because the stuff is missing off of them. Loopy, difference 3. Okay, let's see if we can puzzle some of this out. So, if this is a 7, we have 25 total. And 25 with a difference of 7 can either be A, 17, 8, because then 17 plus 8 is 25. 16, 7. No. 16, 9. 15, 10. 14, 11. 13, 12. And then we start working back the other way. And there cannot be a point where exactly 3 borders meet. So my first thought would be something like this. But that's 17. I'm dumb. I was doing the wrong math. I was doing one less the other, not difference of the other. Let's try that again. So 25 with 2 numbers that are different by 7. Actually. Would it have to be 16 by 9? I think it has to be 16 by 9, right? That's the only way we can do 2. What is this? 7 by 18. We know for Loopy, we can't have those. So we have this on the edge is 16. 17 minus 7 would be 10. So that can't go. How on earth? We can't do like a 1. This is 9. We can't do a 1 and an 8, can we? Because that happens. Okay, well, we got there. And then this looks remarkably similar. So this is 25 with a 7-2 in. This is 25 with a 9-2 in. This still has to exist. All right, well, that I can deal with. That's that little tiny island. We did this one previously. So, what else do we have going on? I feel like I should probably make a real earnest attempt to do this guy. So, Loopy, inequality, difference. tip points towards the smaller region. So we start with this. That can exist, or that can exist. Those are both ways that we can avoid a loopy problem. This can't exist, so that must exist. Let me just... 57 is our total area. Mostly because we have the 0 here to worry about. We also have x plus 1. That's a terrible plus 1. X plus 1. X plus 2. X plus 3. And x plus 4 out of those. It has to go this. Gets to be bigger, gets to be bigger, gets to be bigger, gets to be bigger. So that line must exist. We already kind of figured that out because we couldn't have this. I'm trying to think of these kind of semi-concentric circles that we often see in loopy puzzles to make the loopy work. We can use 2 colors to color in the final region without the colors touching themselves. So I've been told, if I've internalized that correctly. So this has to get out. And this has to be at least size 4. This has to be at least size 5. Can this be 1? It could if we did that. That would have to come down. That would have to come out. That 3 there could not exist. Couldn't do that. I mean, that could do that as well. That gets to being 4 large, though. One, 3. I don't know how to make this bigger without ending up with... that could go to there. That could be a nice cross for 4. So 1, 3, 4. Alright, this is not working. There's also that option, right? But how... Oh, I was going to do... I can't do this because... No, I can do that because I can cut that corner in. Okay, so that's 3. 1, 3, 4. This would have to be 5 somehow. But without touching an edge. That would do that, but then we go 1, 3, 4, 4, 4. This would need to be 5. I could do that to make 5 out of this. 4, 5. Don't tell me I solved a loopy problem without getting completely stuck. Is this what it feels like to transcend? Have we transcended my greatest loopy hang-ups? It even did the blue-orange color thing for me, so no blue has to touch any orange in 2 colors. Alright, let's figure out where we're going next. Shall we just work up the hill again? We have here, oh, there's a 6, but it's one I've never looked at before. So, oh god, bit lag. What are you doing up here? What are you hiding? Oh my god. You know what? It's a 4. Don't be intimidated by the size of it. Just look at what you've got. What we've got is, right, is loopy. So it's gonna have just kind of like 2 shapes, but we also have rose windows. So we're only gonna have 2 shapes in all for the whole thing. One of them is going to do this. The other one then is going to be here. Do we have somewhere where the 2s break? No. But we can bring the stuff in to then have it as a 3-1. So, other things that we know. If we go to green now, the 2-1, we're going to have 2 shapes in all. We have the pinky red and the green. So this 2 needs a green. This 2 needs a green. This 2 needs a green. Facts. We also need to figure out which is going to be the bigger of the 2 colors, because we've got smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, which tells us there's going to be a line there. We've got smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, which tells us there's going to be a line there. We've got smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, which tells us there's going to be a line there. Then, oh, we got, excuse me, we've got smaller and bigger there as well. Now, the easy assumption is to assume that the pink with this extra 36 is going to be the bigger. And on a difficulty 4 puzzle, I'm inclined to go ahead with that. If we look at this, this is 59. If we assume that it's going to be roughly 50-50 in the middle, we'd end up with 36 and 30. It's going to be about 60-30, even if it's 50-40, or like, how big is this? It's 99. So 99 halved would be 50-49. We already have 36. So we have to assume that we're going to get plus 14 on that, and then the rest is 49, which will be the smaller. So I'm going to assume that the pink is the bigger. So pink is bigger, pink is bigger, pink is bigger, pink, 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 pink. Now I have to get all of that to touch while making smaller, 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 all touch as well. Okay, we can figure that out. Now that we've got this, we can see that this lighthouse, watchtower, needs a second of its color. That one there needs a second color. That one there needs a second color. That needs a second color. That needs a second color. Has to touch there. Has to get out. That means that has to be the opposing color. I'm just gonna do... let's just do... I want to be extra clear in my brain about this. B, S, B, S, B, S. Actually, you know what? You know what? Excuse me. Big for blue. There you go. That'll help my brain. This can't do this. So that has to do that. And that's going to have to do this and this. And that's going to be green there. That has to get out. That can't exist. Oh. Okay. I think... No, that can't do that, but... Oh, that can do that. I was like, how do I not make it be a loopy problem, but I can move it downwards like that? Similarly, this then has to move down like this, and it can join that, so that's not a loopy problem. This one has to be blue because of the watchtowers. Alright, there's lots to work with here. I'm going to draw in some of these borders that we know, or at least believe to be true, so that it flags any problems with loopy more accurately for me. Or at least I hope it will. That was a mistake. I did this line when I shouldn't have. Okay. That's because we might need to come in on those. So let's not make that mistake. Right, what next? Just look for the small truths, like... actually, this doesn't have to get out. No, it does, because rose windows, yes. So that gets out. That gets a line. This has to get out. Joins to that. That gets a line. This has to get out. I don't love what I'm seeing here, though. Because how does this blue here get out in a way that doesn't leave this green as an island? Oh, dear. Yeah, I don't love that. I thought I had been working with reasonably sensible stuff so far. Also, this can't be both sides of that. Oh god, okay. We might need to rein it back a bit. There is also the possibility that my big small does not go this way, and I'm learning that now. That is entirely possible. Which would be a bummer if true. Alright, we're going to have to break this down. Let's remove our notes here. And I'm also going to change this up from being blue, in case I was wrong about that. So we still have two zones. So we still have... Actually, let's get rid of all the lines on the outside edge as well. And then pen. Not pen. This. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Right. Big, small, big, small, small, big, small, big, small, big, big, small, small, big. Okay. You have to be the opposing colors. And if my big smalls were wrong, I'd need some other piece of logic that's going to get me an into the puzzle, basically. So they can't touch. They can't touch. They can't touch. Okay, well, that can be a line, so I don't know what my brain was thinking about right then. Should I just go with the... So last time we did this as being big. Should we just try it on the opposing direction of the smalls being the area that ends up with this? Is that even possible? I don't know, but right now I don't have any better idea, so... Those are smalls. I feel like it would just have to be... I don't feel like it intuitively makes sense that we could find a number in here that gets all this pink and this pink all together to only be 49. Well, let's count. Let's count. So small, 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 small. 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Yeah, it can't. If you just think about the watchtowers needing at least one of the opposing color, I think it can't happen that way. So I think the bigs have to be along with the outside edge. So I just need to do what I was doing before, but be way more careful about it. So this has to get out. That gets a line. This is small. Small has to get out. Those get lines. This is small and this is small. And they can't have a line between them being the same color. This is small. This is small. This has 3 colors. So that has to go there. This has to get out. That gets a line. Those need lines. That has to go over. That gets a line. This is pink. Right, so just do what we were doing, but do it better. Okay, we have to do line, line, green. Line, line, green. then that has to get out at some point. We could do a check progress right now just to see if this foundation that I have is the correct one for building out the rest of the puzzle. I think my logic is sound in that it must go this way. I just made a mistake somewhere trying to flesh it out the first time. More bigs. You got big, big, big. And we've got a small. And a big. What else is true? Basically, it feels like we need to draw a green shape among the pink shape, even if the pink has to have like multiple tendrils seeping in from the outside edges and stuff. Because this could do this, but it could easily, as equally, do that. So maybe that's where I went wrong somewhere along the line previously. That gets a line, because those two are different colours. Sure. This could do this or this, so that doesn't help me. This has to get out. You can do that one. Yeah, this might do this with joining up, but it might do that as well. I think that's where I have to be careful, is those kinds of assumptions. Now, this green has to touch another green. It can't be completely encompassed by the pink. And it can't do this one, because that would be pink left alone. So it has to do this one touching that and that, which means that goes like that, and that becomes pink. Okay. That means that goes that, and this becomes pink. Okay. I like that. Okay, just find the next thing. This purple cannot be boxed in. And something I have to think about is that the green, being in all four corners, is, and I say this very roughly, probably going to have to make at least either kind of this shape through the puzzle or this shape through the puzzle, so that all of the right side can touch the left side and all the top can touch the bottom, because we only have these two regions. So we have to make sure there's at some point where this cell can kind of draw a path to this cell can draw a path to that cell, and so on and so forth. I just got to figure out how to do that correctly. Right. So yeah, it's things like this where that looks like it's so easy to do, but it could also be that, and can't make those mistakes. We do know that we have these lines here that are going to have an XY about them, because we can't have the same color on two sides of a line. But right now, because they don't have the inequality sign around those lines, I don't know which way around those are going to go. So again, we're back to looking for whatever the next piece of definitely correct logic would appear to be. And I'm just looking around for whatever that can be. Like, this has to get out at least one way, but I don't know which way that's necessarily going to be. This has to go up on one of these two sides. And I definitely don't want to just start coloring here, because if I do, I will lose track of where my logic was, and that will be so much work to then have to redo with all the logic. But just finding what the next move is, man. Let's do... We have to start undoing when we start seeing these disappear. That's our pseudo save state. Come on, there's got to be something that's reasonably obvious about what is next. One of these two has to be pink. If it's that one, that would come down. That would be fine. This could just as easily do that. That's what gets my brain. It's just trying to draw out anything that works. It's only a difficulty 4. We got this far. We can get through the rest. It won't be the end of the world. If this did this, that would have to do that, that would have to do that, and that, and that. That would have to do that, and that. Okay, that can't happen, because we can't end up with this guy alone. Therefore, I think this must come down and join those. It's not the greatest way to do logic in the world, but hey, it's something. Just when does the green kind of cut through? Like this green needs to get to the rest, this green needs to get to the rest. I don't know if there's like a particular kind of method of logic that I don't know, which would make this a lot easier, perhaps. Right, if that did that, this would have to be green. I should probably do that. If that was green, this would have to be purple. Then this would have to be green and this would have to be purple to make this not break. Which makes you break. Because then the green can't get out. Oh god. I don't know where my... how far back these are. 'Cause I did other bits of problem solving in between. So these are now kind of useless to me, right? Oh god. I would have to reset those every time I confirm a piece of logic, rather than undoing the piece of logic back to the save state before that logic was locked in. I'm going to do one of these just for emergencies. Okay. Our foundation is fine. We just need to keep at it. So what next? Well, we figured out that this probably doesn't work, which means... Wait. Which means that's probably that. Sure. Does that get me anywhere better? Not yet, not really. Not anything bigger and grander. If this doesn't do this, that has to get out. How does this green get to the rest of the green? It can't, because we can't have both colours on there. So if that's true, this would have to go this way. That would have to be green. I mean, that looks okay. It's a little vibier than I'd like, but, you know, here we are. I mean, I can just do this. Yeah, okay. No sense in putting bad tiles after good. Right, we're back to a state of okay. There's got to be some type of logic progression that my brain just doesn't know and that I can't use because I don't know it. Because otherwise I'm missing like one tiny corner, and it feels like there should be, on a 4, there should be a bunch of things that I can do to progress this thing forward. But what are those things? You know? This is going to have to join up to pink somehow. If it's not this, then that has to do that. This would have to be green. Green would have to get out. Pink would have to get out. We leave that as an island. So I think that means that is this. I think. Actually, hold on. We were good here, weren't we? Okay, if we're good here, that means this can't be green because that makes an island. So the green has to come up that way. That goes in there. That goes up there. We have progress. That has to be green because it's on the other side of that wall. That has to be pink because of the 3 on the watchtower. So this green has to get to either that green or that green somehow. One of these at least has to be green. That one has to be green because of 3 on there. I just had this S shape and the game said it was wrong. But now we've done something different that is making this be valid. Are we joining these up together? Great question. That's valid. That's valid. So that's just a big unknown right now. Goose has a Chew. He's chewing under my desk. Adorable boy. Alright, what's next? What's next? What's next? Buddy. Buddy boy. I was going to say this has to go that way, but if it does go that way, then it doesn't have to. It just has to meet up with green somewhere. Have to get all the greens to touch in an island. An island of green. One of those has to be green. This guy. One of those has to be pink. None of this really feels like it helps. Can't do that. Can do that, but that's just colouring in at that point. What's my next known entity? This has to get out to somebody. Can't be trapped in the corner. What's really blowing my mind right now is that this has a unique solution, which just is bonkers to be sometimes that these things have unique solutions. Oh, that means that the greens didn't end up as one region through there. Okay, hold on. Okay, we were happy about the question mark. Or at least I was happy about the existence of the question mark. So, something that my brain, I think, just saw. Or did I make it up? I might have made it up. Or I was working off of colouring. Either this has to get out. If this comes down, this has to go across. Which leaves this is the only out for it. Can that ever be right? This has to get out. But this has to touch green. This has to get out. That would have to be green. I left myself with a green island. Can't have a green island. God damn it. I shouldn't have coloured. I should not have coloured. Alright, back to here. Yes. So, this is our unknown. Because this can join up that way, and then this would be green, or the other way, and I can't do anything about it. What goes where? What goes where? Been on this 4 for so long. I know it's like an end game 4, but still. All the greens have to join together at some point. Goose's collagen chew is really stinky. And he's having... Or he's farted. It's one of the two. Or both. come on, brain. Find some piece of logic here. Like, we have 1, 2 paths for getting green out. It has to be one of these 2 paths. So is this path. Right now the greens are not touching, and I need the greens to touch. That's the problem. Figuring out where along all of this the greens can touch. And there's a real big problem, isn't it? Oh, thank God. Alright. A bit more vibey at the end, but there was only going to be so many ways that we could get the greens over. And now that it's solved, it looks so simple, but we know that it's not necessarily that simple. Alright. A good day of puzzling, especially considering we were on loopy puzzles. 25 of 32 for our gold window for now. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.